Okay, so I'm not necessarily a networking expert by any means, but I do think that I know how to find the network address pretty easily. So I just wanted to kind of quickly record this and show you how I do it, and maybe it'll help you out. So um, we're definitely not going to do all these, but let's look at this first one here, and we're going to find the network address of 192.168.45.180, and this is a /27 segment. So um, first thing we're going to do is we're going to recognize that the first three octets definitely belong to the network, right? Because that would be 24. So that leaves us with 3 left over, because 27 minus 24 is 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and write down real quick. Let's just do our numbers for binary. 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, and 1. Okay, so what we can do is let's remember we're left with 3 left over for the network. Let's go ahead and put those 3 right here. Okay, now we know that whatever is written in here belongs to the network, okay? So let's go ahead and recreate that 180, okay, on this last octet. So that's going to be 128 for sure, right? And then let's see, 128 plus 64. I have a calculator over here. So 128 plus 64 equals 192. That's not going to work. So that's going to be 0. Okay, let's do 180 plus 32. Or sorry, 128 plus 32. Okay, because we have 128. We know it's not 64, so we're going to add 32. So that's going to be 160. Okay. So, spoiler alert, this is your network address. Okay. So, your network address is 192.168.45.160. Okay. /27. Now, you could go on and say, well, there's also a 16 and a 4. And this would equal that 180. Does that make sense? Okay. So yeah, that's kind of how you quickly do it. And then we can also very quickly, once we have this written down, figure out how many usable um, addresses are in the range. We can figure out the broadcast address, and that's all going to come from your last network bit right here. Okay, so it's going to be 32. So we're just going to use that 160. So our broadcast address is going to be the last address in this given segment. So 160 plus 32, we have to remember that the 160 is included in that 32, so it's actually going to be 160 plus 32. Is that embarrassing that I have to use the calculator for that? That's going to be 192, but remember that we are including the 160, so it's actually going to be 191. Okay, so that 191, this is your broadcast address. Okay, so let's say that we use 161 for your gateway, right? So now we have 160 is the network, 161 is your gateway, and then 191 is your broadcast. So now we can use anything from 162 all the way to 190. We can assign to hosts. Okay, does that kind of make sense? Um, and you can do this no matter the octet, right? So if we go over this 10.10.10.10, and we have a 255.255.252. We can do the same thing there. We would just have to figure out how many host bits are in, or sorry, how many network bits would be in that 252 portion. And again, we can just ignore the first 2 because we know that for sure that belongs to the network. Okay, well, not sure if I explained that very well, but I hope that helps.